and welcome to Mann's Model Moments. What I have for you today is something a little bit different, a look at one of the oldest and rarest Airfix kits I have. This is the original white box release of The Revenge, a 16th century Elizabethan galleon. Now, this kit was kindly given to me by a customer at the shop, so I thought given its rarity I'd show you exactly what it looks like, as there aren't many opportunities to see inside one of these boxes these days. This is called a white box release because of the white top stripe and Airfix logo, and as you can see it was already referred to as being an Airfix classic when brand new. Now this kit is several years older than I am, being tooled and released in 1966, and only being released twice more in different boxes under Airfix's classic ships line, once in 1973 and once in 1987, meaning all of these predate my adult life. So enough preamble, let's open up this sturdy top opening box and take a look at what's inside. The first job is to reorient the box to give you a better look at the contents too. As you can see, the first thing that greets us is the full box size vac-formed plastic sheet of the sails. Now the yellowing here isn't due to age, this was never white plastic. It was moulded in this original sailcloth colour, which is a nice touch I think. The most remarkable thing here to me though is that the sheet is pristine, with no deformations, holes or tears in it, something that you often see in older vac-formed plastic as the sheets can sometimes deteriorate, but not here. So moving to the main kit, we can see this has been worked on already, with a lot of components off the sprues and some preliminary painting done. But that also means everything has been kept in plastic, so everything should still be here. Under the bagged parts are the main hull pieces. As you can see here with the port side, the bright yellow on the hull has been started, though it's been done with some care and it probably wouldn't take much to remove it either, given it's on the bare plastic. Now no scale is given for this kit anywhere on the box or the instructions, but it comes out to about 1/144 scale, and as you can see it's a sizable vessel without being unmanageable. Anyway, let's put the hull aside for a moment and see what else we have here. Under the bagged sprues we have the main deck of the ship, a single piece, multi-stepped affair which should make the construction of the main part of the ship relatively simple. This then allows us to take out the bag containing all the remaining sprues and parts, which we'll take a look at shortly. Under that we have the instructions, which we'll be looking at first after the main unboxing. We then have a paper sheet with printed flags on for the ship, which again have weathered the passage of time extremely well. Nowadays you might have self-adhesive stickers or decals to use with foil or even plastic parts, but back in the 1960s, paper was the solution here. The final kit element to note here are the rigging shrouds and ratlines. Some of the pieces I personally most fear on tall ships. The taped piece of card is simply for structural integrity. If we look underneath, we can see at some point the box developed a hole, and this has simply just been patched up. I won't really be looking anymore at these rigging pieces, but remember them for later on in the next section as we take a look at the instructions. Looking at the instructions we can see some familiar elements, though I do love the headline of "Scale Model of Famous Old Warship." I wonder how famous the Revenge is amongst most people today. Anyway, for those unfamiliar, there is a little history on the subject as you'd see in most kits then and since. One thing that is referred to but is absent here is the capsule of cement. These kits used to be supplied with a rubbery tablet-shaped capsule containing cement you were meant to glue all this together with, and you thought tube cement was bad. Here's a picture of one that's a little worse for wear in Moss's vintage Dornier video. I'll link that below if you fancy checking that out too. Now we can open this up and see the instructions on the inside here. Now this does open up further, but all of our main construction guidelines are on this page, so we'll look at the pages individually. So here you can see step 1, which is basically everything. There's no step-by-step construction guide here, it's just it all exploded out all at once onto the paper. Now this is a very different mindset behind instructions, which we'll see again later on, but this pictorial exploded diagram is really meant as more of a reference picture than actual construction instructions. It just shows roughly where each part is and how it relates to other pieces on the ship, rather than explaining how pieces connect together or what order they should be made in. Now step 2 concerns the sails and rigging, and this is even more oblique than the prior exploded diagram. Essentially here you're just being shown a picture of the sails as they are on the vac-formed sheet, and how the ship looks with the sails on, without specifically relating one to the other. It also shows the rigging, with different lines to represent cotton or thread, though I've no idea what the difference is between those two really. So once again, you can see that the pictures here are really more of a reference diagram than anything close to instructions in the way that you would expect to see them today. Moving on to the next side, we get the actual instructions as defined back in 1966. Rather than a diagrammatic step-by-step representation, you get a written description of what to do, with the diagram as a reference. For example, here we have cement lugs of rear of forecastle and half-deck bulkheads, together with their part numbers. Now this does have a distinctly advantageous side effect, one that Moss has mentioned several times, and that is that you learn about the names of the things that you are putting together, which I agree is a good thing. And although Frog really were ahead of their time for pictorial instructions, it did remove this side of the hobby as other manufacturers followed suit. Now the next side finishes up the written instructions before we come to step 4, the painting guide. I think this is probably the area we are furthest from today with full colour paint guides, as here you get a list of what items are what colours, and then the pictorial paint guide with different colours listed, each hatched in a slightly different way that does not make picking them out easy. With this kind of instruction, I often used to colour in the guide itself first, to give me a good idea of what was what, because distinguishing left diagonal hatching from right diagonals or fine dots from medium dots was not best done on the fly, especially where you have complex painting with lots of colours close together, exactly as you have in this particular case. The last side of the fold-out instruction sheet bears the rigging template, with instructions telling you to place the rat lines, those horizontal pieces, on the pattern and cut where needed, which if you remember in our unboxing, somebody has already done. The added piece that the labels here below each rigging section call out the names of the masts and the sails they serve. Once made and dry, you can then lift the completed rigging assembly from this template and attach it to your model. We get some additional notes advising you to bare the rat lines to expose the cotton for better adhesion, presumably meaning the provided material was coated in some way. Lastly, we have the statement that these were printed in England, in case we had any doubt. So as you can see, these really show the different philosophy and mindset behind these instructions compared to modern ones, and shows how much something as simple as this has actually changed over the years. Now I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who have supported me directly through YouTube memberships and Patreon. This really does keep the channel going, and without you it would be very difficult for me to be able to continue doing this. Now if you're only just seeing your name on here for the first time, it's because I update this monthly, and if I've prepared some videos ahead of time, then they may still have the old list on, even if the list has been updated since then. Don't worry though, your name will get on the list and will continue to appear throughout your support. If you are considering supporting me, YouTube channel membership is by far the easiest way to do this, since Patreon is becoming a more challenging platform to engage with. Whichever you choose, however, I absolutely appreciate your contributions, and don't forget to come and check out the private members Discord, which you get access to at any level. Okay, let's take a closer look at the plastic now, starting with that port hull side again. You can see this has moulded on detail for the overlapping style of planking and the surrounds for the cannon ports, windows and so on. We have raised detail for the intricate patterns at the bow of the vessel, as well as this quite complex cutaway at the front too, and overall this is an impressive piece of tooling for a large single piece, especially given its age. The flip side of that is that the reverse has practically nothing on it at all, save a few location lugs, but given how the outers are moulded, I think that's a decent trade-off when not much of this will be visible on that inside face anyway. Moving to the main deck piece, we can see there is a basic raised detail picking out the planking, as well as moulded in loading covers for the decks below. As for the hull, the reverse of the deck is rather rough, but it matters even less here as this will all be out of sight. Overall, once again, this is an impressive piece of tooling for its time. Now, taking the first of our actual sprue frames, this one only has a few pieces still attached, the most obvious being the stern of the ship. Now this has a lot of moulded detail, including this large coat of arms at the top here. The other prominent piece here is the large cage-like structure at the bow, with a couple of other rigging attachment points still clinging to the sprue at the middle. As we'd expect, there's not much going on the backside of these pieces, and again, it won't really matter. Our second sprue has a few prominent pieces, the first two being end pieces for some of the upper decks on the ship, and these are detailed in a similar manner to the stern. We can also see the antecedent to modern built-in parts protection here, though removing the parts successfully from here might be quite a challenge. Still, the detail here is quite good, especially for the door elements on these pieces. The third sprue is one of the most intact, containing the large main and secondary masts, as well as the cross pieces like this one. There is a bit of flash here, but it's really not bad, and it's the first we've seen on this kit so far. It's a bit more prevalent here and on the smaller elements, which are several of the cannons present on this fighting ship. Another sprue and more masts. Once again, we have some large central pieces, but also some surprisingly delicate cross pieces. We also have some elements here we'd see in more modern kits, such as these overcast pieces designed to ensure everything on the tooling is correctly filled with plastic. Onto a fiddly bit sprue then, and some of these have detached, like this anchor piece, but I put them here where they should be. There's a little more flash here, again around the cannons, though these are a little larger than the last ones and so the barrels are moulded separately. We're missing one here, but a quick look in our bag and we find it without issue, so let's just put that back where it's supposed to be. Time for the rest of the larger pieces, which are sprue free. Amongst all of these pieces we have these, which reside at the back of the hull, the crow's nest lookouts, the pieces for the ship's launch, and this base stand piece for displaying the ship along with its name tag. We have this piece with ER on it, as well as various doors, some of which, like these other hull pieces here, bear some yellow paint on them. For the last sprues we move into the smaller and finer pieces, although our first one has this strange string-like flash piece, almost like something fell on the tool and damaged it in this pattern. Fortunately, the parts are largely unaffected, and it looks like one of the cannons has been completed already. The lanterns here also seem largely unaffected. The next sprue has rigging attachment points, some of which have become detached but seem largely unaffected by that, with any damage being either easily repaired or replaced with fine plastic rod. That finally brings us to the free pieces, and we have a selection of different bits that we saw missing from the former sprues. We have a number of different sized cannon barrels and their accompanying gun carriages, and also a complete anchor, so without checking it feels like the majority of this kit is present, which is pretty nice. So what is there to conclude here? Well, obviously I can't give my normal scoring here since this kit isn't available, and probably never will be, as it probably won't be released again even if the tooling still exists and it was located. It's an interesting kit, but I hadn't heard of the Revenge before receiving it, although I am impressed by some of the tooling and moulding shown. It's not a modern kit by any standards, but it has some surprisingly nice elements. Now obviously it has been started, and so I can't really sell it at the shop, but then again I probably won't make it myself, so if this is something you've been desperately searching for, then do get in touch through the channel email, as I'd be open to any sensible offers for it, so it would go to someone who would give it the time and love it deserves. From my side, I'm just grateful to have had the opportunity to look through it and the glimpse into the cutting edge of models from almost 60 years ago. I thought it was something a bit different to share with you guys, so if you enjoyed it, please do let me know, as I have some other rare, strange and vintage kits that I could take you through too if you'd be interested in those. As always, I look forward to your input in the comments section down below. That's all for this instalment of Mann's Model Moments. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel for more like it, and share this video with others you think would also enjoy it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and if you're feeling generous, then I also have a Patreon, which is absolutely the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like this. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.